Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. Again, excellent photograph. Again with your phone?
All with my phone, I think.
Dude, these are awesome. These are great photographs. Okay, so in it are two cats being cute because they're lying down next to each other. I would guess this was photographed in the winter.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I think you'd be right.
Because generally speaking, cats are a lot more social with each other and closer to each other when it's cold. So in Hong Kong winters, it's kind of clammy and whatever. So cats tend to sleep with each other or with a dog or whoever's around. On the sofa, they're just sort of. You're a good photographer.
Thank you.
These are excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the two cats are basically looking at the photographer with these really neutral sort of expressions. And okay, why do you feel this is representative for you?
Well, these are our two cats. The orange one, his name's Harry. The grey one, her name's Alien.
Okay.
And Alien has huge bug eyes. She's crazy. She's full of life. She'll, run around the flat 2-3 o'clock in the morning. Whereas Harry's the complete opposite. He's docile. He's scared of everything. He's scared of his own shadow. Mm-hmm. He came from New Zealand, actually.
Oh, wow.
So they're rescue cats. He's a rescue cat from New Zealand, the SPCA there. He hated being outside.
Okay.
Just terrified.
Which in New Zealand, I would imagine, is a good thing.
Yeah.
Like you mean? Like for
exactly.
local animal
Exactly. So living on a farm, you'd think, grass, trees, hey, go for it. But he would sit at the front door and I thought, where in the world could I take this cat where he'd never have to go outside?
Wan Chai.
Yeah, exactly. So he lives in Wan Chai and he loves it. He thrives.
Awesome.
But he's a big boy. He's, I think, 7.5 kilos.
Wow.
He's a big cat.
Wow. That is, you don't see that in the photo. But
no.
Yeah, he's a big cat.
Yeah.
Is that like a kind of what cats look like in New Zealand? Is that like a kind of
I think so.
It's a beautiful.
Yeah, they're built big. So why I like this photo is animals are family to me, and I care about them deeply. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we do too many things for these animals.
Right,
vet bills are expensive here, food is expensive, care is expensive, but
I have 5 dogs and 5 cats.
Okay,
so I know
you win.
Yes, no, I know. It's cray.
Yeah, but you would do anything for them.
I draw the line sometimes, but if I follow, I follow.
And so this is me, and this is reflective of, I guess, part of the work that I try and do and want to do in Hong Kong. So going back to that COVID situation, we had, that realization, what should I do? So I started this organization. It's called the Hong Kong Animal and Protection Organization, HK-ALPO. And the goal behind it is to get like-minded individuals, be they lawyers, law students, whatever, whoever, just to band together and start thinking about the problems in Hong Kong related to animals. And a lot of the issues stem from and are directed against companion animals. Okay. And so this is my way of sort of giving companion animals a nod.
Okay. So that's what you're focusing on, is on companion animals.
Companion animals and wildlife.
Oh, okay.
So there are two sort of, two veins, but the companion animal stuff is a really big problem in Hong Kong. And I think it's really down to mindset and exposure. So I think the latest statistics was 9% of households in Hong Kong have pets, 5% dogs, 4% cats. And so you're talking about a huge population, a huge number of people who just don't interact with animals on a daily basis.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, we go up, walking along Bowen Road or along the Morning Trail, and you see people with their dogs, and to me, as soon as I see a dog, I have to touch it.
Right.
I have to go close to it. I have to do something. Whereas you see children and just even adults, they will see a dog coming and they will run away.
Yeah.
They will scream. So to me, it's that sort of, we need people to start realizing that animals aren't, big and scary. And just treat them normally. So, and I think that is the reason why we have so much animal cruelty in Hong Kong, and it's a poison in Hong Kong.
Do you think Hong Kong is worse than other places? I'm from Quebec.
Yeah.
Montreal, Canada, Quebec. So you'd think, there are breeders out there who just do it really grossly, and there's animal abuse. And from the law perspective, how do you connect animal abuse to child abuse or human violence? Or is there a connection? Do you know?
Yeah. I know of studies which have said people who have committed crimes or cruelty acts against animals are likely to thereafter commit other acts against, say, people.
People, yeah.
I think there is a line. I'm not a psychologist or but I know there is a line that has been said. But it's not even that. I think it's the fact that people think it's okay to commit these acts of cruelty to animals, which baffles me. And in Hong Kong, you see it all too often. It's not just cats and dogs and rabbits. You're talking about wild pigs in Hong Kong being slashed open. Talking about pigeons being stabbed with pencils and whatever through their eyes. It's incredible. It just seems like no animal gets any recognition or respect, which is baffling, and that really needs to change.
So professionally, how much of your training has been to understand? So, for example, I've done work in forensic accounting.
Yep.
And one of the things that comes up is that people who break the law and in terms of white-collar crime usually do it because there's a kind of a dynamic where they think they can get away with it, and whatever that psychology is. So the forensic accountants that I spoke with, and some of them were from the legal profession and some weren't, part of their job was to understand human motivation towards whatever it is. Right?
Sure.
So in terms of your professional training, how much of where you're coming from, if you are to represent animals who don't have a voice or anything, so how much of your understanding, how do you tackle the psychological, motivational, whatever thing that people will go out and be cruel? Then you're just like, well, wait a second, let's deal. So how do you tackle that problem?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's something that I've been thinking about for a long time. And it's all down to mindset. It's just the mindset of people needs to change in Hong Kong. I think, unfortunately, animals under the law, they're classified as property, so they're objects. So if you lose your iPhone, you're going, I need to buy a new iPhone. Right. If you lose your cat, the law's going to treat that like property. Yeah. So you'll get compensation as to what the animal is worth, but an animal is so much more. I mean, you have a life with this living, feeling being. So how do you put a price on that? And that's something that I have yet to figure out, and I don't know how the courts are going to either, because it's never been asked before. Yeah, but it's also super huge. So it's super huge. Yeah. But so it's changing mindset. I think if people can start considering animals to be more than just things, they're living creatures capable of feeling pain, pleasure, they need love and attention, then maybe people will go, wait, I see a pigeon. Maybe I won't stab him in the face because he's going to hurt. I had Paul Watson. I don't know if you've heard of Paul Watson, but his approach to conservation and is very, very forceful and I think extremely needed. He has a clear understanding of where the edge is in terms of the law. And so he understands that there are boundaries that that the law either you can use to your advantage or not or whatever. So this is how I ask questions. I go meander for 1,000 minutes. It's great.
And then you should figure out what I'm asking.
You should be a lawyer.
Dare you, sir. Them fighting words. So what is your frame of reference when you look out into Hong Kong and you go, oh, it's really bad here. But compared to what? Like compared to New Zealand, like what is your baseline? Yeah. I guess the baseline is 0. I mean, if you could get 0 acts of cruelty, then that would be great. So my baseline is there should be none. Okay. But if I'm comparing it to different countries,
then yeah, I think Hong Kong is very far behind, is very archaic in terms of how it treats animals and how the law treats animals. We have legislation in place, the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Ordinance. It's 70 years old.
Right.
It hasn't been changed.
Yeah.
The government had asked for a consultation as to, what we should include, and amazing organizations and amazing animal welfare specialists have made submissions. Our organization made submissions, but nothing's been done yet.
Right.
So we just wait. But yeah, it's a very lackluster legal system in Hong Kong when we're talking about animals.
Okay.
Some things are taken very seriously in Hong Kong. I mean, the current political climate, you already know some things you just do not do in Hong Kong because you will face severe consequences.
Sure.
Drug trafficking is always serious in Hong Kong, and so it should be. Offences against people, same. But offences against animals is just not regarded as important enough.
Yeah.
And so that's just a sort of cyclical issue because one case happens, he may get sentenced to XYZ, a fine.
Mm-hmm.
So the next person that comes along and goes, oh, I'm just going to get a fine. So what?
Yeah.
And that builds the problem because more of these cases happen. The fines or the sentences imposed are low. There's no deterrence. Right. And so they're just going to keep doing it. So in terms of Hong Kong, it's very behind compared to other countries such as the UK, Australia, New Zealand in terms of animal welfare and the way the courts deal with animal cruelty, which is I think where things need to change as well.
Okay. And is that something you're tackling
directly? Yeah, so that's one of the goals of the organisation. So it's to ensure that those amendments that we suggested, such as, we want to introduce a duty of care. So at the moment, animal cruelty is sort of after the fact. An animal has to suffer before anything can be done. And that's very backwards thinking. I mean, you can't stop someone from committing a horrendous act towards an animal until it's been done. So part of the amendments are to introduce this duty of care. So people who are in charge of or take control of animals have a duty to ensure that their welfare is met. And if the standards drop, they'll be liable.
Is there something like that exists in other spheres of people? What's that?
You mean in Hong Kong?
Yeah, well, just like how, like if you could say, well, for example, if you have a child, you have a duty of care. Like, is there a kind of parallel that you could present?
Yeah, a child is possibly the best example. I mean, here's a human being who's totally dependent on those who look after them. If the people, let's say mum and dad or the nanny or whoever, fail to do so or put that life in harm, the law steps in and goes, you're not doing the right thing.
Got it.
Whereas in the world of animals, they wait until the dog's been kicked
after the fact.
Yeah, which is a shame.
Yeah. So what is the URL so people can find out about it?
www.HK-ALPO.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is ALPO a brand in New Zealand?
It could be.
Really? Because I think in Canada, I believe ALPO is a brand of dog food.
Is that right?
Yeah. So when you said HK-ALPO, I was like, is he selling the dog food? I don't know. Yeah, okay. So is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw.